Hello, everyone. The first topic we're going to talk about today is order of operations. So this is a big theme throughout pre-algebra and algebra. This is also introduced in usually like fifth or sixth grade. It tends to be fairly straightforward. I do suggest that you stay very organized with your work. Something that you'll hear me say a lot throughout these videos. It's an ongoing thing that kids tend to forget to show their work, and without showing your work, you really can't pinpoint where your mistakes are. So I have a pretty cool method to go about this. You may have heard of the Pemdas Rule. That's what we're going to apply today. We'll take a look at some problems here. We'll see if we can do some word problems as well. And then if I can take some real-world applications, I'm going to try and fit that into the video as well. So I hope this works out for you and helps you. Enjoy. Okay, so the first problem we're going to look at is what we have here. Remember, we have our PEMDAS rule. So PEMDAS is an acronym to help us remember the rules of order of operations. All right, so let's take a look at that. We'll write that down, and we'll use that throughout. So the first thing, the P stands for parentheses, which at this point we don't see any parentheses in our problem. The E stands for exponents, but also exponents and powers, roots. We don't see any of that right now. All right, the M stands for our multiplication, and we do have two multiplication problems going on here at one time. All right, so what I always suggest is to put your grouping symbols in, which you are allowed to do. So we have a multiplication problem here and a multiplication problem here. So let's work that out first. We have 25 times 3, which is 75, and then 60 times 2, which is 120. All right, so you can see, as I said before, that we're going to just funnel things down, all right, creating less and less steps. So what we have left is addition. So there was no division. We are working with addition, and it looks like we won't have any subtraction. So once we do that, we go and solve this, and our final answer would be 195. Okay, for this particular problem, what they're asking us to do is to actually insert grouping symbols to make our solution true, which means that we have to get a 38. All right, so with this, you always can do some trial and error. Put your grouping symbols in. It looks like we're only going to use one set of grouping symbols, though, okay? So we could start at the beginning, we could start at the middle, we could start at the end. So remember, we're kind of avoiding the rules of PEMDAS, so to speak, because the grouping symbols will kind of trump everything else and state where we're going to work first. So if we go ahead and put the grouping symbols here, we can see that we're going to get 18 plus 2, which is 20. 20 times 1 is 20, plus the 3 squared, which remember is not 6, it's 9. 3 times 3. All right, so that's not going to work. So what I always like to do is, once you have started at the beginning, maybe shift the grouping symbols to the back. All right, so we're going to pick two terms at once. All right, so we have this term here and this term here that will surround it around. All right, so if we work within the parentheses, we have the 1 plus what is 3 squared, which is 9, so that's 10. All right, we bring down what's left, just as I stated before. All right, so you got to be careful here because we don't want to do the adding first. We actually want to do the multiplication. So we're going to do the 2 times 10, which is 20. We add 18 last, and clearly we can see that 18 plus 20 is 38, so we are good to go with this particular one. Okay, here, this is a great example of a real-life type problem where you would have to use order of operations. So I tell my students all the time, although you may not see it on paper, but in real life, you are using algebra and order of operations and one-step equations all the time. You just don't see it like that. All right, so this is a great example. So we know that Mike is starting out with $75. Well, hopefully that he has enough to cover the cost of all these materials here. So we can say that he's starting with the $75, right? We know that we're going to be taking it away, right? We're going to subtract because all this is a cost. Okay, so that means we got to find out what this total cost is of all the items. All right, so he's buying 5 books that are $8 each, which means, well, we're going to have to use multiplication there to solve what that will be. All right, then in addition to that, he's also buying a bookmark for $2 and a magazine for $4. All right, so we can see that we're clearly going to subtract last, all right, because we want to get that total of everything inside those parentheses. So once again, we revert back to the rules of PEMDAS, even within the parentheses. So 8 times 5 is 40, plus the 2, plus the 4, So that will give us 46. All right. Then we will subtract last, which is 75 minus that 46, which will get us $29. Okay, everyone, I hope that video was helpful for you. I tried to take a couple different approaches there, showing you a straight computation problem, something a little bit more difficult where you had to insert grouping symbols yourself, and then lastly looking at a real-world application of your order of operations. So if you're having homework where you're having some issues with same types of problems, and you want to give me a comment on helping you out with that, feel free to do so below. Also, please do not forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bar. Otherwise, I hope this was helpful for you. Have a great day.